Hey everyone, Luke here. I got a 2,500 point, little fluffier battle for you. The reason is I was kind of bitching at my buddy who plays Empire and told him, yeah, you take that crappy Empire build all the time. It's really rock hard. It's kind of like mini dwarves. You got a big horde here. You got war machines that got to come to you. You got chaff coming out your butt. And so he said, well, let me try something else. So in that spirit, I just knew he was going to show up with something fluffier. I didn't know what, and he brought an all cav list, which should be kind of fun. In the spirit of him being nicer, I decided to not take the list I was running, which I actually think is pretty competitive, at least in the games I've been playing recently. So I dropped all the war machines and moved a couple things around. Not too much because I don't really have a ton of other models or a lot of experience, so I don't really know exactly how to change it up completely, like run all night goblins, but someday I'm going to have squigs, and we're going to do just that. So anyway, that's what we're going for, and in general, some of our future battles, we're going to try to do that as well. Maybe have a chart for every army or something that we can roll off, and maybe have to include something in your list that you wouldn't normally take. Just kind of trying to keep it fresh and play with the things, like the black coach in my vampire counts. I absolutely love it. But there's an example of something that I'll never take because there's just better stuff. But it's still good. So we may try to do that. Hopefully you'll see some of that in the future. Here's the board. It's just a normal pitch battle. We got the stupid forest and a boiling river. The Elven Waystone in the middle. Then there's another forest on the left, and there's a forest base that's Kemrian quicksand. So it's actually a little tight deployment. With him getting a river on his side, being cavalry, it's kind of a pain in the butt, and then with me, forest and all this crap on my side. This is after Vanguard movement. You can see he obviously got to go first, and that meant with his Vanguards, I couldn't Vanguard my spiders up at all, but he has a group of Outriders, a group of Demigryphs behind the water, a group of Pistoliers. Then he's got two big groups of Knights. The one on the right are Inner Circles, and the one on the left are the less popular Knightly Orders. The Inner Circles have a Lord in there, a BSB, a Warrior Priest, and a Caster. The other one has a Caster. Both those Casters are level 2s of the Lord Beasts. The left group has, one of them as well. Then he has a Warrior Priest. His General's in there. And then I think that's the only character. I think there's 7 characters in total, if I remember correctly and have it listed right. Then he has another group of Demigryphs and some Outriders. So fast and hard-hitting. On my left flank, I've got a group of Boar Boys. A Giant, decided to drop the war machines for him, see what he would do. I've never played with one before, so we'll see. Then my kind of big group of Savage Orcs buffed up a little bit more because of just some points laying around. A Board Chariot, 2 Manglers that kind of got boxed in with bad deployment on my side. But they'll be able to get out. Then I've got a long bus of Night Goblins with some Fanatics in there, 3 of them. They got nets. I got my BSB. That's just a normal Goblin BSB. He's got the Standard of Discipline, so they'll be rocking a Leadership 8. And there's a Shaman in there, level 2, with obviously the Little Wah. Then I've got 2 groups of Spider Riders, 25 Black Orcs, and a Ragnarok. So we'll see what we can do here. Unfortunately, as always, Empire wins the first turn, and here come the cavalry. So everyone's just moved up, so you can see. Same over here. Pretty much everyone's moving up. You can see the Demigryphs didn't march. They just kind of moved through the water, so you don't have to worry about terrain. But he's got a lot of movement, so he'll make that up next turn. You notice here that his Outriders are shooting. His Pistoliers move up and can shoot no problem. But the Outriders just vanguarded, and then it looks like they moved in their turn, but that's where they vanguarded, so that doesn't count as movement. So both of them get to shoot, and during shooting, you can see they take out the Manglers. But before that, it's magic. It's 5 dice to 5. He throws 3 dice at Wissen's Wild Form. The Inner Circle Knights, the ones that you can see clearly in the picture there, try to buff themselves. I dispelled it with 4 of my die. And then he failed to cast with his last 2 dice, with the other group trying to buff the bigger group. So he's got, this, they can buff themselves, they can buff each other, and it's all -1 to cast on the Lord Beast because these guys are cav. So that's pretty great for him. I like that a lot. That's pretty much it for the turn then. Pretty quick. Greenskins turn 1. So I declare a charge. The Pistolers are right in front of my Savages. I declare a charge and they flee. Then I declare a charge with the, Chariot, the Board Chariot, and bounce them through the unit. My Savages make a leadership to redirect into the left group of Knightly Order there because they're squishier. I'm hoping if I can hit them. I mean, it's a long charge, but, well, I'm going to fail anyway. So I redirect over there. My spiders declare a charge on his, those are outrunners, and they go through the water. Actually, only one of them has lost a dangerous terrain. I don't know where it is in this picture or why I marked it to, but you'll see there's another one back later. So obviously, I just marked it wrong. So, with the fails, there's no one else to redirect into. The Night Goblins just kind of move up a bit, but I'm keeping my Goblin by the Elven Waystone, so he has +1 to channel. My Black Orcs move up. Now, they've got the banner of +1 movement, so they're able to march 10. I really like how fast they are. Spider moves up. The Spider's going to the forest. Over here, my Savages fail their charge, and obviously the Chariot didn't have anyone to redirect into, so he failed his charge. It was a long charge for the Savages, but, you know, you got to try sometimes. And then on the right flank here, or I'm sorry, the left flank, it was a long charge. I wanted the Boar Boys basically to get into that flank, and I think they needed like I think it was only a 10, which is, you know, it's less than 50-50 with Swift Stride, but I thought I'd go for it. If I did, it was going to be in the flank, and it was going to tie him up pretty well, but unfortunately they failed. So they go forward a little bit, and the Giant also just kind of toodles up with him. During Magic, it's 2 dice to 2. What a crappy phase to start out with. I forgot to mention, I have, for my spells, Gaze of Mork, Fist of Gork, Here We Go, and Foot of Gork. So, unfortunately, I don't have Hand, which I really find out like a couple times this game. I have to have Hand from now on. It's just great. Foot is great, but I think Hand is probably the best spell they got. But it's 2 dice versus 2, so I only have really maybe one thing I can get off. The only thing I can maybe even reliably cast is Fist of Gork on my Shaman in the Savage Orc group. That might dissuade a charge, but he dispels it. During shooting, I've got a couple groups of spiders and the guys on the Howdah crew, and everyone just kind of misses. So it's Empire turn 2. He's declaring a bunch of charges. I move forward just enough that that's going to happen. So the Demis are going to try to go into the Boar Boys. I decide to hold. I just want to see what they would do. I didn't want to flee, and I didn't think they'd rally. So then his Knightly Order declares a charge on the Savages. I say bring that one on. Over here, I guess I forgot to mention that I moved my Spiders up right in front of his Inner Circle Knights to block him, so he couldn't get into the Savages and do a joint combo. So he's going to charge those little spiders and get rid of them, speed bump them. Then he declares a charge with his other Demigryphs into my Night Goblins. If he makes it, you can see where that arc of visibility is there. If he makes it, he's going to be out of my charge arc, which sucks. That's just sloppy movement on my part and getting a little greedy with the, oh, look at me and my big, fast movement. So a big mistake on my part. We'll see what happens. So the Demigryphs make it into the Boar Boys, and he does it such that, well, I think he would clip the Giant no matter what, but he's definitely favoring one side, so he can hit the Giant if and when he overruns. The 2 charges here in the middle are made, no problem. And then once he gets within 8 inches of me, with his Demigryphs, I release 3 Fanatics, take that, one of them bounces through, which does d6, but the other 2 don't make it, but he has to complete his charge. So that's 2d6 for each of them. I end up killing one completely and putting 1 wound out there on another one. So that's not bad at all. Take that all day long. Yeah, I guess the only other thing to note here is that you can definitely see the Black Orcs are out of the charge arc, and he pulled from that the smart side, so I definitely can't charge. By the way, the Outriders and the Pistolers both rallied. So it's Magic. It's 7 dice to 6. I'm keeping up with the Elven Waystone helping me channel, but now he's close to it as well, so it's going to be fairly even. He tries to throw 1 die on his Warrior Priest to reroll wounds on his Knightly Order, and I dispelled that. Then I dispel Wiston's Wild Form with 3 of my dice, so now I'm down to, what, 2 left. So he was trying to buff the Knightly Order as well. And then I dispelled the Ward save from the Warrior Priest with my last 2 die. And unfortunately, that gives him 2 free dice left to go. And that's okay, I'm thinking. I've played this well. I've got a Dispel Scroll. He's only got 2. He's going to try to get Wiston's Wild Form in the Knightly Order. And he casts it, rolls Boxcars. Irresistible Force. Damn it. And now that I'm in combat with the Night Goblins, he's going to punk the little goblin who has the Dispel Scroll. So he gets Whistons off on his group and then gets the magical feedback. 3 of his 4 channelers and casters take wounds. So that kind of sucks. Really, really changes the combat here, I'm thinking. Nothing else to do. The Pistoliers shoot that little fanatic, so there's no problems there. And during shooting, his group of Outriders, those guys are kind of like, we were calling them little mini Hellblaster volley guns, because they don't have the longest range in the world, and they have move or shoot. But those sons of bitches got 4 hits and 3 wounds on that damn giant. I was like, holy crap, man, where'd that come from? But during close combat, you can see the Demigryphs. I end up failing Fear on my Boar Boys. Initially with the bird attack, he kills 3 right off the bat. I failed to wound him back with my Boars and my, the other 2 guys left. I break, sadly, and he catches me and overruns with the giant. So those guys are gone, and now I got a kind of a sword giant here. Close combat over here. His general goes first, throws out 2 wounds, but I ward save 1 of them. His warrior priest goes, throws out a wound, but I ward save it. 4 wounds come in from the rank and file, and I ward save 2 of them. 2 wounds come in from the horses, and I ward save 1 of them. I swear, it's like, it makes me want to play Bretonia again when I roll this well on 5-up ward saves. But then, unfortunately, I go to do all my attacks, and I miss them all. Well, I don't miss them all, but I don't land them all, I should say. I just rolled really, really bad, and it was definitely not expected. Also having toughness, what's that, toughness 4 now, with Whistons really helped him quite a bit. When it's all said and done, I forget who it was. I think it was in the challenge. No, it wasn't in the challenge. I scored 1 wound there, you can see. So even though I wrote that I missed quite a bit, I ended up scoring 1. And then I ended up losing combat by 2, but I'm steadfast. So I lose my frenzy, and I stick. In the Night Goblin fight, he throws all his attacks at my Shaman on the left, but he fails to notice the big guy with the super huge flag, my BSB. And I choose not to remind him as he's allocating attacks. So I throw my net out, and I end up netting him, lowering his strength, and then he puts 2 wounds on the Shaman, kills him outright, don't really have any protection for him, and then he kills 3 in the unit. I do 1 wound to him, so now there's only 1 wound left on one of those Demigryphs, and he loses by 2, but he sticks. BSB's pretty close. Alright, Greenskin's turn 2. I declare charge into the Pistoliers, and they flee. He basically, the way we looked at here, I'm going to have a front charge, and we measured it just to make sure I'm going to be able to squeeze in there. It's going to be tight, but I'm going to be able to do it. Over here, my spiders move up, just as you can see, trying to get toward the middle, and my other little spider riders are like, hey, we're going to shoot at you across the river. This is our side of the river, damn it. So you can see it's a long charge, but I've got the +1 movement banner on the Black Orcs, and I thought about this a little bit. I thought about taking the chariot into the Knights. I would have really liked that, but I couldn't actually reform at all to even make a corner, because even though I lost combat, basically what happened is, in order to reform at all, he's not as wide as I am, so I was going to have to like take my farthest rank out of combat to do it. So there was just no way to even get like even a millimeter in there, unfortunately, for what it looked like. So this was the only target I could do, and I could clip him and hopefully help those Night Goblins free him up. But unfortunately, that does mean there's some, you can see it's getting tight movement in there. I got some impassable terrain there, so we'll see what happens. During Magic, it's 9 dice to 8, so I've got a nice phase. I throw out Fist of Gork on 3 dice first on my Shaman and figured, hey, if that goes off, I'm going to punk some Knights, I'll be happy with that. And he dispels it with 3 die. So I've got 6 left to pick them all up. I'm doing okay. I'm going to Irresistible Force, here we go. That'll get both groups re-rolling their wounds. Both groups of Orcs, that is, not the Goblins. And I do not Irresistible Force it, and then he throws up the Dispel Scroll. So that sucks. But I had to try, and that that's going to change it too. In close combat, 4 impact hits go out, and he armor saves all of them, unfortunately. He puts 1 wound to my BSB, realizing that he is there this time. He's not going to make that mistake again. I throw 1 wound on the unit, killing 1 of them. So there's only 1 Demigryph fully left. And then it's like a 3 rerollable, and he breaks. So because I have like a combat res of 5 or 4 going in, I think is what I won by. But unfortunately, you know, I chased with both so I would get the points. And now my chariot is kind of stuck. He's got room to move, but, you know, there's no real room. I couldn't reform where I was and get in any meaningful combat, so I just went forward for the points. But now it's kind of tight. From left to right here, he puts 3 wounds on my giant. Unfortunately, before I even get to go, the birds go quicker than the giant, and because he was wounded, 3 wounds get through, kill the giant. So I still say I've never actually played with the giant yet. I don't really know what he can do. We roll to see if he falls, and he falls away, so it doesn't hurt any demigriffs at all. In the savage orc fight, his general whiffs all of his attacks. We trade a few wounds, and it ends up being a tie. Remember, I have no frenzy, and he has his Wiston's wild form up, so unfortunately, this is not looking good because now those demigriffs are going to come slamming in. In the black orc fight, this is where I find out that his lord, well, hey there, buddy, you got some big glistening sword. Oh yeah, it's that stupid rune fang sword that every hit is an auto wound, D3 wounds, no armor save. Whoa, so he has 4 attacks and kills 3 orcs just right out before anyone gets to go. 1 more orc dies in the rank and file. I go great weapons on the black orcs, and I only do 2 wounds. It sucks. I rolled really poorly. I mean, we're obviously not maximized there, but I rolled really bad, and only did 2 wounds. So I lose, but I stick. And I feel like I'm in trouble there as well. So here's a picture of the board. Empire turn 3. The demigriffs, as you can see, they easily make that charge, don't get any dangerous terrain. The pistoliers rally and move back to stop a flank charge from my spider, which is fairly smart, because that was what I was going to do. During magic, it's 9 dice to 5, and I'm like, oh crap, he can't have a bad phase, can he? Alright, I got an uphill battle. He throws 1 die of the 5+ ward on the Inner Circle Knights in combat with the Black Orcs, and he fails it, so that's awesome. Then he throws 3 dice at Wiston's wild form on those Inner Circle Knights, and he doesn't roll very high. I think 2 of the 3 dice were 1s. I mean, he gets it, but I decide of my 5 dice left, I throw 2 at it, because I have a level 4, he only has 2s, and I get it. So I dispel it with 2 dice. Then his other group of knights is like, hell, I gotta buff the inner circles. And they throw 3 dice at Wiston's to try to buff their buddies, and I throw 3 dice and dispel it. So I'm feeling pretty good, but he has 2 free dice. And then he looks down and throws down Savage Beast of Horos, tries to cast it on 2 dice, and he fails it. Even though it's one fewer to cast, he fails it by 1, which is awesome, because that would have been, I think it's like, what, 2 more attacks? Something like that? But yeah, it would have just been 2 more dead orcs around, or however many it gives, because it would have been on that Lord with the Rune Fang. It would have made me puke. During shooting, he blows up a couple spiders, and they pass their panic test. In the Black Orc fight, his Lord loses, his Lord does 3 wounds of 4 attacks, so 3 die right there. 2 more die from rank and file on my side, and I'm unfortunately only able to land 2 wounds. I'm rolling really poorly to hit, but the ones that do hit, he's got a 1-up armor save. I don't have Choppas anymore, so I'm not strength 7. Strength 6, it's not bad, but, you know, he still has a 1-up that's going 3 points off that to a 4-up, and he's just making it. I lose, but I'm steadfast, and I stick with my reroll. On the Savage Orc fight, his general swings and misses. I don't really know what he has at this point because he keeps missing everything. The Demigriffs get all of their attacks hit. 6 wounds come in, and of it, I'm only able to ward save 2 of them. I think my luck of ward saving, unfortunately, goes out the door here. His Riders kill 2 more, so I'm down 6 guys, and I'm only able to kill... and then I get 2 more killed from his rank and file in the Cavalry, so I'm down 8 now. I land 1 wound in a challenge, but then he luck stones it, so he can reroll that armor save. And then I do 5 wounds forward, and of those 5, he only fails 1 armor save. Again, I'm strength 4. He doesn't Wistoned anymore, but I'm only strength 4. And unfortunately, that's going to be Snake Eyes. And I don't think I'm close. No, I was close enough for the rerolls. Snake Eyes rerollable. And I break. He restrains on his knights, but he doesn't with the Demigriffs, and his Demigriffs don't catch me. So, I mean, at least that's something. Greenskins turn 3. I can't get the chariot into combat like I was talking about, so he's kind of stuck where he is, so I decide the best I can do is charge my Night Goblins up, and they declare a charge. The spider moves to try to get in with the demis, but the other spiders kind of move to shoot at whoever they can. And then I do rally on my savages. During magic, this is my chance to try to save those savages, I'm thinking. I roll the dice, wins a magic, I need a big phase. It's four dice versus 2. I'm like, son of a bitch, I cannot get it working for me here. So, with 4 dice and a level 4, I was kind of doing some math in my head. I really wasn't going to be able to cast. It was going to be 50-50 or a little less to be able to cast the juiced up version of Foot of Gork. So, I do Foot of Gork, but I do the lower version that lets me stomp once, throw it right on the demigryphs. I debated for a long time whether I should go at those knights or go at the demigryphs. But, I don't want to lose the savages with my caster in there, so I try to stomp them, and Gork decides to be a jerk, and he drifts his foot 6 inches off, so it doesn't hit anything. I hate you, Gork. In close combat, the BSB survives, yeah, he survived all the attacks from the humans, and then I think, yeah, he survived, so none of the horses hit him either. I do 2 wounds and I break him, and instead I restrain pursuit and reform. In the Black Orc combat, I do 2 wounds. He ends up doing like 5 or 6 in total, and his lord, is the majority of those. And it's one of those rounds again where, I've got enough numbers. I should be doing quite a bit, and it's one of those we're both groaning because I'm rolling so poorly to hit. And just, the 1 or 2 wound, but he's able to armor save him pretty well. So unfortunately, after this, I'm really down, and I need something close to Snake Eyes. If it wasn't Snakes, it's very rollable, but I break, and he catches me, and he overruns into the chariot. And so this is where what it looks at. This is where we call it, because it's only going into turn 4. It's the top of turn 4, but I mean immediately he's going to charge with his demigryphs. My guys are fleeing. They'll go off the board. And the only meaningful guys I have, I've got the chariot in combat and my spider. If he gives a long pursuit, his demigryphs will be off the board, and I can't charge him with the spider anyway. And that's a long charge to get into any one of those knights, and that's kind of a tough battle anyway. So I got Night Goblins there with the BSB, but they're a little squishy, and they don't have anyone in any arc from where they had to end up and where I reformed them. So there's really just not much we can do, so I tossed in the hat. Unfortunately, it was just it was a big slaughter for Empire. They just destroyed me. Couple of bad things that I should take note of. One, my deployment wasn't very good at all. I kind of was bottled up, and then with that impassable terrain, it really sucked when he was coming to me that fast. Otherwise, one of the big lessons that it didn't even occur to me playing the game is that when his lord has the rune fang like that, and it's that expensive of a sword, he's not going to have much at all in the way of defenses. But I didn't really think of that. I'm kind of used to playing vampires where they're just totally tooled up beyond belief, and I could have killed that lord right away, it turns out. Like, he had only his armor save. Like, I think that was it. So I'm making a mental note of that going forward. If you see one of those big, scary, freaking swords, think of what that means on the other side with what he can possibly bring to bear for defenses. So that hurt a lot. I mean, that guy probably over his 3 or 4 rounds he at least killed 9, if not closer to a dozen on his own. So that would have been nice, and I learned the lesson there. Otherwise, I really like the way that the Night Goblins performed. They knocked down some demis. Once again, the Manglers didn't really get in anywhere, and it was just a tough battle. He had some good clutch magic phases, like Irresistible Force on the Wissons, and I was really lagging behind in magic. I mean, I only had one really good magic phase, and it was one of his. It was where I was able to basically match casting for casting, able to dispel him. So, an uphill battle, painful loss, but it was a fun game, and it was a pretty quick one. So, thanks for watching, guys.